Morning.
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 Hello, Mr. McGee. How are you, sir?
Hey, Herschel. Oh, not here yet.
Hello, Mr. Faisal. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, is this Mr. Lammery?
Yes.
Okay, I think everybody's here and it is 11:01, so you can start whenever you're ready.
Thanks, Sharon.
Hello.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
you want to start the meeting?
I do. Did you send, did an agenda go out? I did not see one that did.
It did go out.
Okay. I apologize. I must have missed the email.
I missed it too because I wasn't looking for county clerk. I was looking for Ed McGee.
Well, I'm going into my email now to look. Give me just a second.
David, are you set up on Zoom or what? WebEx?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't
I
get
see
on.
the email about the meeting. I don't see the agenda, but let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. And Ed, if you would, what's the first item on the agenda since I don't have it?
The items that were listed, well, I've lost the signal already, were to accept, receive and consider the contract between SFA and Oklahoma Communities Foundation.
Mr.
Chairman? Yes, sir.
This is John Pettis. The first item on the agenda, besides the roll call, is to number one, discuss and possible action to set date, time, and place of the meeting to convene in the event technical difficulties arise during the course of the meeting that cannot be corrected within a maximum of 30 minutes. And then the next one is approval of the minutes of the 7/22/20 home finance meeting. That's backwards, by the way. I'm sorry? We need to approve the minutes first.
Gentlemen, can I say something?
Go ahead, please.
What Mr. Pettis just was telling you about to set the date, time, and all of that, because this is a WebEx meeting, and in case any one of the board members drops off the call, we have to reconvene at a later time that you guys have to set. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
So you just have to make a motion to pick a day and time. It can be later on today to reconvene should we lose.
Okay. John and Herschel, are you available this afternoon in case we lose connection?
Yeah. Matter of fact, it might be better to reconvene this afternoon so we can get the agenda in place and maybe I can get on WebEx. That's just me talking. That has nothing to do with you, John, David.
Okay. Would everyone be available if we reconvened this afternoon at either 2 or 3 o'clock Central Time?
Yeah.
I can be available at 2 o'clock. Will it require, now and I'll ask this question, I guess, of the recorder. Do we need to reset, do we need to basically call this meeting to order and then recess to 2 o'clock so we won't have a problem with the posting and reposting of the agenda?
Does everybody not, I can email it to you right now if you would like.
That'd be great.
I have my copy of it. I got it off of the I got it off of the county's website under County Home Finance Authority.
Right, that is where it is.
If you could email it to Herschel and I, that would be wonderful.
Okay.
And I apologize. I'm looking at the meeting notice for this, and I just don't see any attachments to it.
Okay, give me just a
I
minute.
never thought about going to the website. Good for you, John.
I agree with that, John. I didn't even know we could do that.
I had to learn too. I had to go and find it, and it took me a while, but now I know how it's set up.
I think next time we should probably put that in the notice of the meeting, that you have to go to the county website to get the link to the meeting.
I think the link should have been on the actual email. I might have,
didn't see it, I'm sorry.
it might not have been. If it wasn't, then I apologize.
Well, it needs to be probably in bold print or something if it was.
Hey, Jared, I just got your email, sir.
I went ahead and bumped it. I just pulled it from the county website and sent it on to you guys.
Well, you
Okay.
guys, okay, 'cause I'm trying to get everybody's email address too.
I've got it.
Does everybody have the agenda now?
David does.
I'm
Let
not
me open
on
this
either
doc.
one of the websites. I'm just on my regular landline phone.
Herschel, did you get the email?
Yes, I got it.
Okay.
got it.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, what I would like to do is table the approval, unless we have to do it before action, but table the approval of the minutes of the 7/22 meeting, since we literally just now got them, to our next meeting.
I'm fine with that.
Did we ever make a motion on number 1, which is to set a time and date, even though we're not going to reconvene, just in case we drop connection?
Well, we've already gotten the date, I believe, for tomorrow.
No, it was
Today.
the time to reconvene would be 2 o'clock this afternoon. Do we have a motion and a second on that?
So move.
Herschel, second.
Got that. And then we need a motion and a vote. We vote on number 1.
Okay, so we have a motion to, I'm sorry, go ahead. Okay, we have a motion to reconvene at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Getting a lot of feedback.
Yeah. Me too.
I have a motion to reconvene at 2 o'clock this afternoon if technical difficulties prevent us from conducting this meeting. All in favor, aye.
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 Okay, so that passed. And I would like to table item number 2 until the next meeting, since we have two of the three trustees haven't had a chance to review the 7/22/2020 minutes.
So moved.
I'm having a lot of difficulty, David, hearing. I'm getting
Yes,
all
sir. If you could
feedback.
mute your television, that would help out with this feedback issue that we're experiencing.
Do what now?
It seems that we may be getting some feedback from the television in the background, the news station over there for Mr. Faisal.
It's on mute, but it is off now.
Okay. Yeah,
I think
some
it's
kind of
Ed.
feedback going on.
No, I think it's Ed trying to get in with his computer and his phone, maybe.
Hold on a second. My system locked up, but I signed in by telephone. Does that help?
It does. The echo in the background is gone.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so moving on, item number 3 on the agenda is to consider and take action with respect to authorizing the execution.
Gentlemen, I don't
I'm
believe
sorry.
we have a second on number 2 and a vote
Okay,
to table the minute.
Second. I second to table.
okay. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on tabling the minutes? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Let the record show that passed unanimously, please. Now, moving on to agenda item number 3 is to consider and take action with respect to authorizing the execution of the operation agreement for the Coronavirus Relief Fund Household Support Program by and between the authority and Communities Foundation of Oklahoma. Ed, are you going to take the lead on that?
Yeah, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Through a series of negotiations and meetings with all of the appropriate county boards and commissions, a contract was approved by the Board of County Commissioners on a vote of 2-1. And Jared has been working on the details of that contract, making sure to include all of the items that were specified by members of the Oklahoma County Home Finance Authority, and to make sure that our dollars are used appropriately and under correct procedures. And Jared, I think, has that contract either finalized or close to being finalized.
Yes, we are. We have approval from Communities Foundation of Oklahoma. They're in agreement with the full, and kind of we'll send it around for one more sign off from all of the parties. But assuming we get that sign off from the parties, this item would allow Mr. Faisal as chairman to execute that and go ahead and request the transfer of funds from the county to the authority's administrative account at Bank of Oklahoma.
What was our
Okay.
final amount, please?
We received an allocation for $1.5 million.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, I've got a series of questions. Is someone on from the Community Foundation? Because one of the questions will be directed at them.
I don't believe anybody from CFO was on the call, John.
Okay. Okay, well, let me I'll ask the question and you can ask them. Number one, if more funds are available from the county, would they be in a position, if the demand exists, to continue the program with additional funds? Number one. And they can give you an answer to that, and you can send it to all of us. Number two is for legal counsel is that the resolution that was passed by the board previously that basically says that, and I'll kind of quote it, that the funds in the amount of $1.5 million for the purpose of administering the program with the appropriate agency to provide this. Okay, in this resolution, it says requesting the county commissioners or other appropriate county entity for an allocation of these funds. Example, most of the funds have gone to the county jail trust, okay? Now, there's some discussion as to where the trust may, and it didn't come from any of the trustees or anybody, but there may be a possibility that the county trust, jail trust, may allow other entities to apply for a few of those dollars. If that is the case, then does this resolution allow the Home Finance Authority to make application to the county jail trust if the demand is there for additional funds, or do we have to start the process over again?
John, to answer your question, I think that resolution is broad enough that we could, since the county has technically allocated their funds to the jail trust, if the jail trust, being a county agency or commission, we could then make application for additional funds if the need arises.
Oh, and can be adjusted back. Okay. I think those were the two questions that I have, and I have a comment on number 5. That answers my question on number 3, and I move for approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to take action with respect to authorizing the operation agreement for the Coronavirus Relief Fund Household Support Program by and between the Authority and Communities Foundation of Oklahoma. Is there any additional discussion on that item? I'll call for the vote.
Just one, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
If those funds if the funds do become available to help additional families, will it have to come back through this board, through this trust, or can the application just be submitted, or do we have to vote on another resolution?
Hey, Jared, you're on mute.
Thanks, David. I don't think we have to bring it back for another formal application. I think we would probably seek input regarding the amount of dollars to request, which I assume if we're requesting more, that means these funds have gone pretty quickly. And then we would bring that back probably for a ratification, which would coincide with the necessary amendments that would be needed to this operations agreement that those new funds are accounted for, John.
So we will have to have another quick meeting.
At some point, yes. If we get if we get more money, we will need to have another meeting.
Okay. Call the question.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Let the record show that carried in a unanimous vote by the trustees. That moves us on to agenda item number 4, which is consider and take action with respect to authorizing the chairman or executive director to execute appropriate documentation for registering this with the System for Award Management to comply with the Treasury guidance for administration of CARES Act dollars.
Yeah.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the question. All in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let the record show that carried by unanimous vote as well. And agenda item number 5 is discussion and possible action to provide up to $10,000 in support of the authority's coronavirus relief fund household support program. Jared or Ed, can you tell us about that?
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes, sir.
asked that this item be placed on the agenda, and here's the reason why. I attended all of the meetings from the budget board and the committee that meets before the budget board to make a recommendation to the budget board, and I attended the budget board meeting, and I attended the county commissioners meeting. And throughout those meetings, they apparently had some concern about the indemnity of the program and all the parties involved. And the purpose of me adding this on there is that I believe that since the county is asking this organization to administer this program, that we shouldn't have to put the responsibility on them getting the bonds, indemnity, assurances, and other things to protect the county. And that's why I put on there that we should bear that cost for what the county has required us to do as far as indemnification, bonds, etc. Now, the cost may not be but $3,000 or $4,000. I don't know, but I do not think that the Community Cares Foundation should have to bear the cost of this expense, because no other entity requires it. The city didn't require it. I don't believe the city required it, and I don't think the state required it. But it was something that the county budget board and the county commissioners basically felt uncomfortable with. And I think that we need to make sure, number one, that it's to our satisfaction that what they required to do is done, number one, and then that we pay for it and not put that on the Community Cares Foundation.
John, if I hear you right, have we been notified of this contingency?
It wasn't a contingency, but it was something that I believe the general counsel said that we would provide. They would make sure that it was done. Okay?
Well, I think in all reason, John, I think that needs to be by communication in writing before we act on anything. Now, we can act on it provided they do send something, but just sitting in a meeting and hearing it, I don't know about that.
Okay, Herschel, I read the draft that the general counsel had submitted, and between the community foundations and our agency, that is going to be executed probably after this meeting, and then that it specifically says that they would not be responsible for the cost.
Who said that?
And if the general counsel, I'm sorry?
Who said that?
It's in the draft of the contract that the chairman will probably sign. If the general counsel is still on the line, he can verify that.
Yeah, so I'll tell you kind of what our thought on that is, guys, is so we're authorizing, if expends all this money, kind of the number we've been talking about all along for like an administrative piece is about 5%. And so 5% of the 1.5 is 75,000. We said that will not, the cost of an indemnity bond or a fidelity bond would not cost against that $75,000, but would be eligible to be paid out of our $1.5 million allocation as an appropriate administrative expense per the guidelines that Treasury has released to us. So, and I can also tell you that Communities Foundation of Oklahoma has already gone out and procured that bond, and payment won't be required until the effective date, which is going to be whenever Home Finance Authority finally registered in SAM, which is the action that we took, the prior to this. So CFO has to procure it in their name, but the authority is allowing the reimbursement of that cost from Bank First, who's providing the Fidelity bond, which came out to be $1,500 and some change.
Thanks for that
Okay.
update, Jeff.
Well, I don't have a problem. I asked that this be put on the agenda from the early set, but apparently it's been worked out to where the community found it'll be a program cost and not against their administrative fee. So I don't have a problem this being stricken from the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that take a motion?
John, is that in the form of a motion?
I'll move that item number 5 be stricken.
Second?
Okay. We have a motion and a second to remove item 5 since the bond is being paid for separately and impacted from the authority anyway. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Let the record show that item is stricken. That takes us now to board comments. Any comments from anybody on the board about specifically the items on today's meeting agenda?
I have one question to John. John, when you were sitting in the county commissioners meeting, I know Kevin voted against it, but at the same time I was interested in was there any back and forth on it at all?
There was some back and forth from which meeting? The budget board meeting or the county commissioners meeting?
County commissioners.
I think the main issue that they had was number one, that they felt that the trust, the Home Finance Authority, basically just did home ownership programs and so forth. But I was prepared to show that the trust in the past has done multifamily housing bond issues, which include rentals. And they were under the impression that it was just for home ownership. But that discussion, kind of died by the vine. But what they were really concerned about is the indemnity of the county and so forth in this program, because they had not done any program similar to this, as the way this one is structured. I think that was their main concern, was that we indemnify the county or the people that's involved. That was what I got from the meeting.
Okay.
And of course, I'm sorry?
Was it the same at the budget board?
Yes, the budget board, that was basically the same. Now, Mr. Warren, he abstained because he has rental property and that some of his clients may need the assistance. So he abstained from it. And I believe, of course, Commissioner Calvin voted no. And I think the remainder, I think maybe Stein, I'm not for sure, but I think maybe Stein either voted no or abstained from the budget board perspective.
I think the vote at the budget board was 6-4, 1 against, and 1 abstain, I believe.
Okay, then those were the no was Commissioner Calvin, and the abstain was Mr. Warren.
And what was the
But
vote, by the way, at the county commissioners meeting? Was it 2-1?
It was 2-1. It was
Okay,
2-1.
that's what I thought.
But it got down at the county commissioners as to the assurances that of the indemnity or the fidelity to protect the county and so forth. And that was a reason that I put that in there. You know, but yeah.
David, if I may, please, I just want to let you guys know that Commissioner Mon didn't take a lot of arm twisting to agree. So just let you know he's very much in favor of our program.
Well, I think both of your commissioners are, and I think mine is not. And in my conversations with him, it's primarily he doesn't think we have the expertise, and he thinks there's other resources out there. I am convinced that with the Community Foundation of Oklahoma, we do have the expertise, and I'm also convinced that there are other resources, but they don't serve, as John pointed out previously, unincorporated areas or small communities like a Nakoma Park or a Bethany that may not have CARES Act dollars of their own. So I think this is the right thing to do, and that my commissioner doesn't think that is. We'll just have to see how that affects the process going forward. But I absolutely think we're doing the right thing as an individual that's involved in the housing industry.
I would add to that, David, that Kevin Calvi is really anti-federal government, as you all know. And I think any money coming to any local entity, he's very suspect. Not just our program, any program.
Well, I think this is an opportunity to help a lot of people outside the Oklahoma City limits that need the help. And I think that once this program is up and running, and based on what the representative from the Community Foundation stated, that they would be able to get this program up and running fairly quickly, and hopefully it'll be up maybe by Monday, that they're going to find that the demand will definitely outpace the funds that are available. She gave an example. Within 1 week in the Oklahoma City program, they got 1,000 applications in 1 week. In 1 week.
Wow.
And I think and that's for a combination of rent or utilities or mortgages, but they're also helping with food, gas, retraining. So it's not all for one cause, but it is covered under the city's program. And I would imagine that probably September, the city will be out of funds. By the end of September, they'll be out of the funds for the $12 million that they have set aside based on the demand. And I'm thinking that once we open this up, they will get a slew of applications from the areas outside the Oklahoma City limits. I think that Community Cares Foundation is the one that will make this program a continued success and help a lot of people. A lot of people.
Absolutely. I agree with you, John. Is Teresa got the capacity to give a report on this so that we in turn can turn it over to the county commissioners to show the impact it's had on the county?
Herschel, I'll answer that. I think the answer is yes. And kind of what's contemplated is, no fewer than every couple of weeks until our funds are expended, Teresa's going to provide us a report, with how many clients have been helped and kind of in what capacities. So.
Perfect.
That sounds great. Jared, a question I have on the documents, can those be electronically signed or do you and I need to meet in person?
David, we can just sign them electronically. That's fine.
Okay. Well, I'm available this afternoon or whenever you need to get them to me to sign.
Will do. I appreciate it.
Okay,
Any-
one question to the general counsel. Do you have any idea when they will start the program? Did she give you a tentative date to where they will flip the switch?
So they have hired a brand new case manager that is at least initially going to be specific for our program. Kind of as it picks up and workflow changes, she'll probably split time. That individual will be on board before September 1st. And in the meantime, their case managers right now are documenting if they live in Oklahoma County outside of Oklahoma city limits, and those cases are being compiled. And as soon as we have kind of the verification from that case manager and our funds in the bank, then they will be prepared to start paying out that assistance for those folks. So short answer is they're already accepting applications and documenting and starting the process of verifying loss of income, bills, all of those kinds of things. And as soon as we can get the money, then we will be prepared to start paying those claims out to clients.
That's great news, Jared. I was wondering what the lead time was. So they've already done something to precipitate applications coming in.
That is correct. They were a little shy until after the commissioners approved our allocation last week. Since then, they've set up kind of our program requirements in their portal. And the ones that don't qualify, because they're in, the city or they've taken state dollars, for example, those are getting kicked over into our pot. And I would anticipate that, there's probably going to be a group of about 50 or so claims that'll be ready to be paid on day one.
Perfect. Thank you.
And day one could be as early as Monday.
Sounds like it.
Correct? Okay. Well, okay, my hat's off to Community Foundation of Oklahoma for being proactive in assisting this trust and helping those needy families, because you're going to be really surprised of the families that'll be helped by this program. I mean, you got families that, are in a position, to not lose their home, whether it's rental or mortgage, and by us being proactive, will perhaps give those families a little more time to get back on their feet.
Yeah, good point, John. And I would also like to commend Ed and Jared for the hard work they've done, and to you too for attending all those meetings. Without
Absolutely.
you guys, we've never gotten it done.
Yeah, Herschel and I are just kind of along for the ride on this one. But gentlemen,
The only thing I could add to that was Teresa is an excellent, logical thinking person with a lot of talent, and she's a real trooper. And if any of you get a chance, and it doesn't have to be formal, it can be as easy as an email, a text, or a phone call. Thank Brian Mon for his help on this, if you get a chance.
all right, any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a motion for adjournment.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all for your hard work. And, this is going to make a difference. And I did some math in my head. And if we're 1.5 million, that's about 10% of what the city has. And that's probably a fair number based on the population of the county with what's in and out of the city. So I think John's right. I think this money will go quickly. And I hope we have to have another one of these meetings soon and talk about some more funds. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
All right.
Thanks,
Have a good
David. Bye-bye.
weekend, folks.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Likewise. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.